Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Can anybody hear me? Is there anybody here to hear me? If anybody is here, use the chat to ask questions. I'll get my video on right at 1:30. Okay. If anybody's here, test out the chat option. We're going to need to use that to communicate with each other. So say something, anything, doesn't matter what. Just want to make sure it's working. All right, here, I'll start. Hi, everyone. Oops. Okay. Hey, we've got two people, Josh and someone else. Can you guys hear me? Alrighty. Let's see. Turn that on. Seems to be a bit of a delay from when I actually do things and when it shows up for everyone watching, but whatever. Okay. So I think first I'm going to go over all the new competitions that we developed for WJF 21 and for next year. And then we'll go over some of the changes and modifications, mainly for the short programs. So if we're all ready, all two of us? All two of us. I don't know, maybe I should wait a few more minutes. Nah, it's fine. Okay, let's get started because this will be available to watch later. So, looking here at the competition rules main page, this is where everything exists for all of our competitions. And so the new competitions. Well, let's start with endurance, because you may think this is an old competition, but we reformatted it to be completely different. So we wanted to see clean finishes in endurance and runs, and there's a little bit of betting on yourself and a gamble in terms of if you continue to attempt longer runs or more objects. So basically, the last thing that you do in the endurance competition before you decide to cut your losses and leave, or take whatever you manage to achieve and stop trying, you're only as good as the last thing you did. So working backwards on this though, but so like looking here, right? So in any number, so let's say for example we're doing balls. All right, so we're starting at 8 balls. For it to be a valid run, you have to qualify. You have to have a minimum of a qualifying run, which is 16 catches. You also have to end clean. So you can't do, say, 20 throws and 16 catches, but then you dropped, or however that would work. So you have to catch. You have to make a qualifying number of catches and not drop anything, basically. And so say, you get like 30 catches of 8 balls on your first try. All right. And then the next 2 tries, you fail to qualify. Then you got nothing. The 30 catches don't count anymore. The only thing that counts is the last thing that you did. So let's say you got 50 catches of 8 balls on your last attempt, whether it was the first attempt or the third attempt. You get 3 tries. Then you have to decide, am I going to go to 9 balls? Am I confident that I will get at least 18 catches and no drops with 9 balls? Because if you move on to 9 and you don't qualify it on your last attempt at 9 out of 3, then the 8 balls doesn't count either, right? So you've got to calculate the odds, probability of success in whatever you're doing, based on what you've done before and if it's worth it. And also maybe based on what other competitors, like there might be a case where you're kind of forced to do it, otherwise you definitely won't win. Like if another competitor already did 9 balls, you still have to go through 8. You still have to at least get 8 to move on to 9. So you always have to start at the starting number, whether this is in individual or in teams. You have to start where it says to start, and you have to qualify with that bare minimum, with bare minimum number of objects, with the bare minimum number of catches. So I hope that makes sense. So in any case, whoever wins will have qualified whatever number that they're doing and ended clean with no drops, and be a higher number and more catches than anybody else. All of those things have to be present for someone to win. All right. So it's very similar with teams, except we have more categories for teams. So you can either watch this on the stream here or just open up this page yourself and look through under the team endurance. There's 4 competition categories. There's balls, rings, and clubs, and ultimate club back cross passing, where one person is throwing in back crosses in ultimates. The other person is just passing in ultimates, front to front. all of these passing patterns are in ultimates. So in all of our endurance competitions, there are no self passes. There's not the pass to the person, pass to yourself. It's all you're throwing forward and back to everybody. Not everybody, the other person. There's only two people here. But so with balls, you will throw front to front. So that's just basic, each juggler facing each other, passing in ultimates. But for clubs, let's see, where is it here? Yeah, okay. So rings and club patterns include front to front, back to back, front to back, and front to front ultimate club passing. For rings, it's the same except no back crosses being passed in ultimates. So you still, as a team, you still in all of these categories, and they're all different categories. So this doesn't culminate to an overall endurance champion. Each category is its own competition. So you can choose not to do like back to back or ultimate back crosses. There's a different winner for each one. I think I have that right. Yeah, team's placements in each category will be determined by the highest number of catches with the highest number of objects, right? So each category is its own competition for team passing. Right. So, like, let's look at clubs, for example, since I think that might have the most participation. Rings also probably. But so ultimate club passing in back crosses starts at 7. So even if you can do it at 9, you still have to do it with 7 first and qualify it. Then you can move on. So for back cross, right? Oh, there it is. All the other club endurance, right, starting at 9. So the basic passing patterns for clubs will be front to front, back to back, and front to back, and that'll be all starting at 9. Qualify with 9. If you know for sure that you can do 10, 11, whatever, you work your way up. You only need to do don't think about winning with 9, like having the most amount of catches with 9 if you're going to move on to 10 and 11. Just qualify it so that you can move on quickly. You don't need to spend all 3 tries on that. And again, if it gets worse, then you got nothing, right? Okay, so that's that. Let's see. Right. Okay. So Compulsories is a brand new competition for the WJF. It's similar to diving in that now we have all of these different moves and connections, but it's not a routine. So looking at the overview for the Compulsories, each move or connection sequence is evaluated based on 5 criteria: stability, turn completion, symmetry and balance, and degree of difficulty. So it's judged similarly to the way we judge the moves in the short programs, except now you're not doing a routine. You're just getting judged on each particular move, and you have to choose 5 of these moves or connections from the balls, rings, and clubs category. So you can do all 5 of your moves or connections with one prop, or you can split it up. You can do 2 with balls, 2 with clubs, 1 with rings, or however you want to do it. But all of the instructions are here in terms of how to do the move, how many throws, and this is an important point with the Compulsories, is everything is very specific. All right, so you have to pay attention. So, like for example, we're looking at the 5-up 180 into the 5-up 360. Right, so that's just just a connection from one move to the other. But you have to start with your back to the judges. You do 10 throws of the basic pattern. The 11th throw starts the 5-up 180. Then you go into the 5-up 360. That's not written here for some reason. Then after the 360, 10 throws of the basic pattern, and then you collect. The last throw of the basic pattern must not be lower than any previous pattern throws, which means you don't just give up at the end and just do a low throw and change the whole height pattern. height of the pattern, right? So you follow through with all the throws, everything. If anything, you can go a little higher on the last throw, but certainly not lower. So, you know, look through all of these. All the scores are there. So you get one try per move, right? So you have to pick something that you're pretty sure you can get on the first try, so that the only unknown is how well you do it. And you're not doing all of your 5 moves in a row either. Each competitor will do their first move, and then each competitor will do their second move, all the way up through all 5 moves. Okay, so since there are no questions for that, those are the compulsories. Let's see, what else do we have here? So the synchro event is basically just like the compulsories, only it's a team of 2 jugglers doing the same move at the same time. And just like synchronized diving, it's you're trying to both teammates are trying to do the move or connections as perfectly as possible, but now also as identically as possible, which means starting at the same time if there's a 360, which often there is, spinning at the same time. The heights of the pattern are all the same. You end at the same time. So we're looking at the very last catch after the whole sequence is done. So basically mirror image each competitor of the team being identical. So that's obviously a given. So everything else in the description of these moves is just how to do the move. And there is some overlap with the compulsories, but there are some different ones here that are more appropriate for a synchro event. So those are the new competitions, and we'll go through the changes to the short programs for anyone who's going to compete in an advanced overall championship, and this will also extend to the ultimate overall championship the next time we do that in 2028. But we'll do at least 1, maybe 2 advanced overall championships in 2025 next year. So we should just go through some of the changes. So the first thing is the criteria that we used for the ultimate overall championship to qualify for that competition, we're also using now for the advanced competition. So this is all done through video. So when you're on this page, underneath how to try out, enter the competitions, it's basically demonstrating that you're capable of doing the routine that you plan on competing with. So first you'll have to submit your routine forms and have those validated to make sure you created those routines correctly. Once your routine forms for balls, clubs, and rings have all been approved, then you can do this part when you're ready for it, which is to record an unedited video of your competition routines, demonstrating 5 total run-throughs per routine with no edits. So you can edit in between prop categories. You just can't edit in between the 5 attempts of your ball routine, the 5 attempts of your ring routine, and the 5 attempts of your club routine. So within those 5 run-throughs of each prop category, you have to do 2 run-throughs with 0 drops, 1 run-through with no more than 1 drop, 1 run-through with no more than 2 drops, and 1 run-through with no more than 3 drops. So you have to achieve that in those 5 run-throughs. Now you can take as much time as you want in between those run-throughs to recover, get your strength back, but you can't leave the frame, so you have to stay in the video for all 5 run-throughs, regardless of how much time you take in between attempts. So obviously you can't edit out the time that you rested in between the attempts, because it all has to be one unedited video. And if you have choreography elements, those also have to be submitted with your routine forms and approved, obviously, before you do the routine with the music. So the music is also a big part to this also, especially if you have the choreography elements, which you're supposed to have. Okay. So where is that? Oh, under the okay, so under intermediate, advanced, and ultimate overall championship, the main thing I wanted to go over is the I'm looking for it here. Class limitations. This is new. And this is just to minimize redundancy in classes, skill classes that are easy. So now in the balls and the rings routines, site swaps with a maximum throw height of 6, such as 6-4x, 6x4, can only be done once. So if you're doing a 6x4, a 6-4x pattern, or any sort of sync site swap that has a maximum throw height of 6, you can do one of them. That's it for that. 5-ball ring sync side swaps, that should be async. Well, that's just there. Oh, so higher. Oh, I see. This is higher than 6. So it also applies to sync side swaps that are higher than 6. So like 8x4, 4-4. That also can only be done once. So the sync side swaps, pick one per throw height, whether it's 6 or higher than 6. And then when you get to the 3-character side swaps, the async side swaps like 7-4-4-6, 4-5-9-7-5, you can do 2 instances of those. 5-ball and ring side swaps that are higher than 5 or higher in 5 characters or higher, 2 instances of that. For 360s, 2 instances of a 3-up 360 in any pattern. Same thing for 180s, 2 instances of a 180, whatever pattern you're in. Pick your favorite pattern. Probably pick the one that earns you the most points for your 360s or 180s. There's still unlimited 5-ups in 180s and 360s and also 720s and 2 stages and all that. We're just limiting the 3-ups to 2 instances in both 360s and 180s. It's a little different in clubs because we recognize the difficulty involved doing the same stuff with clubs. There's not that many people, not that many jugglers duplicating the same skill sets, but we are limiting the sync side swaps with 5 clubs with a throw height of 6. Again, the 6x4, 6-4x, that can only be done twice. Higher than 6, that can only be done twice also. So we're still limiting that the same way. 3-character side swaps, you can do 3 of those with 5 clubs. So 7-4-4, 6-4-5, 9-7-5, you could do all 3 of those or any other 3-character side swaps, but you can only do 3. For higher than 5-character side swaps, 5 or higher, 2. And same thing for the 3-up 360s, 3-up 180s, 2 each. So I guess I was lying. It's pretty much the same for clubs also, just slight differences in there. Okay, so that goes over, that covers all the new competitions and the main changes to the short programs. Also the connection chain bonus multiplier scoring will now be relative to the moves that you're connecting, the actual connection score of that, and not just a fixed number that multiplies regardless of what moves that you're doing. So the moves that you choose to connect directly will affect the values of what's multiplied for your connection chain bonus multiplier. And since I see no questions for that, we will move on. So now we're going to move on to WJF 21. This is an online competition. This is video only. So we're doing the compulsories, the synchro event, and the endurance, the new endurance format that I discussed earlier. All right. So starting with the compulsories. So there are slightly different rules just because it's all done on video. So for the compulsories, so in this case, you're doing 5 moves. You have to do all 5 moves and connection sequences in the same video without any edits. So when this is live, we'll alternate competitors after each attempt. But for this video, you're doing all 5 moves in a row, obviously with breaks in between. So it's still the same format in terms of what compulsory move or connection sequence you're doing. You do it, you finish it, and then you stop, and then you move on to the next one. So you can take time in between, obviously. Still, it's not going to be a routine of five different moves or connections. It kind of is, except you get the luxury of stopping in between each one and then resetting for the next one. So it says you can take up to a minute in between each one, but you have to stay visible in the video at all times. Facing the camera is synonymous with facing the judges. So when you're looking in the rules, it says start with your back to the judges or start facing front to the judges. The camera is basically the judges. Same thing for the synchro. So you're just doing this with someone else, but all the same video rules apply. You do all 5 in a row with up to 1 minute in between each. But you're facing the camera or facing away from the camera as if the camera is the judges, based on what the rules tell you to do for that. Then when we get to the individual endurance, you can edit in between prop categories. Yeah, so you're starting with 8 balls. So this is basically just like it would be live. But you all of your ball attempts have to be done in the same video. So if you start with 8 balls, I mean, you will start with 8 balls. If you get 16 catches on your first try, you can stop there and then that's it. But if you try to get a longer run with 8 and you fail the next 2 tries, then you're basically done, right? But if you get 16 catches of 8 balls and stop, you can just move on to 9 after that. So if you're trying to just get to what you think you're going to win with sooner, just qualify your 8, and then, you know, whatever qualifying run, 16 or more, ending clean, no drops, then you can move on to 9 and then see what you get with that. And then after you're done with balls, then there can be an edit. Then you do the same thing with rings. And then when you're done with rings, you can edit and show the best that you did with clubs. But all of this has to be in one take. That's the only type of video for this that will be admissible. So same thing applies for teams. You should be able to figure out that each different pattern and prop category is its own video. So I'll just read through this. Edits can be made in between prop categories and patterns. Okay, so you have 3 attempts for front-to-front passing. If you qualify 9 clubs within your 3 attempts and then decide to go on to 10, there cannot be an edit between your 9 club and 10 club attempts. Clubs front-to-front is 1 video without edits. Clubs back-to-back is 1 video without edits. Clubs front-to-back is 1 video. Ultimate back crosses is 1 video. The same video rules apply to balls and rings. For ball patterns, we're just doing front-to-front. But for rings and clubs, we do the other positions with front-to-back and back-to-back in the ultimate back crosses, of course. So read through all of this so you can see all the different awards that there will be for compulsory, synchro, and then all the endurance. So yeah, each one of these prop categories and patterns, position orientation is its own competition. So if you win all of them, you win a lot of them. You don't just win the clubs. You win the clubs in a very specific number and pattern for a specific number in a specific pattern. All right. So that's WJF 21. So, you know, look that up, the WJF.com/WJF21. If you have any questions after watching this video, if you can leave comments here, that's fine. Or you can just email your questions to info@thewjf.com. But otherwise, I think I covered everything that I wanted to. And hope it all makes sense. But if there are any questions, just let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. The deadline, I was going to go over that, but it's right there at the top. So you have until December 10th for WJF 21 to submit all your videos. And then we will post the results on December 25th. All right. Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing all the videos come in for that. And I will be back soon. Bye-bye.